So put your little hand in mine. There ain't no hill or mountain we can't climb. Babe, do. I've got you, babe. I've got you, babe. Okay, campers, rise and shine. Don't forget your booties because it's cold out there today.
It's cold out there every day. What is this, Miami Beach?
Not hardly. And you can expect hazardous travel later today. What with that blizzard thing?
That blizzard thing. Something.
That blizzard thing. Oh, well, here's the report. The National Weather Service is calling for a big blizzard thing. Yes, they are.
I still don't got it.
Yeah,
finish it.
You made me forget for a second. Yes, they are. I actually just forgot because you knocked it out of my head. Oh. Darn it!
The question on everybody's lips. They're chapped lips. Yes, they're chapped lips.
Yep,
Will Phil see his shadow?
Will Phil come out and see his shadow?
Will Phil see his shadow? And then something today is...
No, it's like, will Phil come out and see his shadow? Puxatawny Phil! That's right, Woodchuck Chuckers. It's Groundhog Day!
Sweet! Come here, girl!
Well, we got through there.
And we also figured out that that recording cuts off like right after he says
Yeah, it just cuts off abruptly. We don't even hear
the
sussurra of them just talking in the background.
It always either cuts to the next scene or like it starts playing different music.
You don't hear any like... peas and carrots in the background. You just hear that part of the recording, and it's done. You have to still sit closer unless you're yelling at them.
The reason why I lean over like this is because I don't want to lean on the thing and not sit uncomfortably. Well, I'm going to get very close and intimate with the mic.
So this is the 14th watch of Groundhog's Day. This is the 14th episode of Groundcast Day, and if you were to go back 14 weeks from today's date, you would find that we had watched this movie at that point only one time in this cycle.
Actually, there would have been
zero times in the cycle.
If you went back 14 weeks, yeah, we'd be watching it our first time. Sorry.
Yeah,
I guess you were right. You were right the first time.
Arbitrarily choosing that date,
because as we know. You can subtract anything from anything and
then figure out what it means.
It's called numerology.
If you go back 14 days from now, it'd be 2 weeks ago.
No, because the thing about 14 is 14. There are 24 hours in a day, which means if you subtract 14, it will be exactly 10 a.m. 10 a.m., as we know, is the time
that Bobby wakes up every day when it's not a school day. Also, it's a pretty good book by Peter Klein, I will say that. And as you've probably figured out, like I said, it's Groundcast Day. I'm Randy.
I'm Bobby, and today
is...
I forgot to do that part.
Sunday, March 10th, 2019. Currently, 6:51 p.m.
Pretty sure Trump's still in office, yeah.
I don't know, I haven't turned on the TV, haven't gone on the internet
Still there for now. And, today, Randy gave me a book to write some notes in.
I wanted him to be engaged in this movie, and because of that, we got less Bobby yelling
at the
TV screen about how much he hates this film.
Only, I think, 3 times.
Before we can go ahead, Bobby, I have to check in. How are you feeling about this movie this week?
Well, it should really be about how are you feeling this week, because last week, as you know, was a pretty depressing watch. We both felt like crap. We didn't want to watch it. We felt
it was a chore.
Today, I don't feel as bad. Today,
I could just imagine how bad it would have been if we had done it yesterday instead of just holding over one more day.
Yeah, both of us had like a headache yesterday, so it would have been a shitty. I was out of it.
I was eating soup.
I was where Phil was on the Jeopardy day, just chugging alcohol. Not in my pajamas. I didn't even bathe until the evening.
Yep. So today, as part of this watch, to get Bobby more engaged with this, I gave him a pen and a booklet and told him to take notes.
And gave me Bobby, a little booklet and a juice box.
Take it away.
And an action figure to play with.
Take it away.
Some blocks. This week, so the first thing I wrote on my, how many pages of notes do I have on notebook paper? 1, 2, 3, 4 pages double-sided. 2 pages double-sided, 4 pages total. The first thing I wrote was something I had come up with a few days ago, which is this movie is really A Christmas Carol meets The Time Machine.
Yes.
Now, as you know, A Christmas Carol, the story of Scrooge, he's a miser, kind of stingy, sees the, ghost of... Wait, no, first he sees his dead friend, right? A ghost of his dead friend, Bob Marley, is that it?
Yes, the ghost of his friend, Bob Marley. You're thinking it's just Marley. It's like
Marley?
He's the Marley.
I just call his friend Bob Marley.
You're Bob Cratchit.
Yo, Scrooge, how you doing?
Because you got to remember the first line of A Christmas Carol is Marley was dead to begin with, as dead as a doornail.
Bob Marley. Anyway, and then he sees the ghosts of like Christmas past, present, and future. And it was really like a morality tale about how he needed to improve his life, otherwise he's going to end up. I guess his really only punishment is that he would end up dead and alone, and no one would care that he died. Right?
That's it. He wouldn't have left his mark on the world in the hearts of those around him.
And much like in that story, here, the ghost of Christmas future, I guess, is the day repeating itself over and over until he fucking reforms himself into a better person. And he can come out and say, ding dong, ding dong.
But then who's...
Oh, it's Christmas Day! It's Christmas
But
Day!
who's Bob Marley in this situation then?
Rita?
I don't think she's Bob Marley. Though she might be pretty good with some dreadlocks and that hat. Singing about Buffalo Soldiers.
Well, I assumed Rita was the ghost of Christmas future, but he's kind of a scary character in the at least in
the ghost of Christmas future is just
at least in the Disney version where he's Pete.
He's Pete, but he's just
the Reaper.
He's just a Grim Reaper.
But in this time, we know that she is in fact a very nice snow angel. But nonetheless, she's also the ghost of Christmas future, who is, as we know, guides Phil into being a better person in a positive way rather than a scary negative way.
Yeah, she's very carefully guiding him down the correct path, going as far as telling him that maybe you need to change your perspective and look at things differently instead of like his pessimistic outlook on everything. Because if she had 1,000 days, she would learn so many things.
So yeah, so she does that, and then the next day he wakes up and he's like, "Oh boy, it's February 3rd." He has the Scrooge ending, and it's very, very happy. And they run off to enjoy their day, I guess at the diner or something. We're trying to figure out where they're going.
Hey, you Groundhog, what day is this?
Wait.
Yep.
There's two radio guys. And then the other thing I said, so it meets the time machine. I don't have as much knowledge of the time machine. I believe I saw a movie of it one time, but I know it has something to do with the guy's wife or fiance dying, and then he's going back in time trying to revive her.
No, he wants to go forward into the future. He wants to see what outside of his lifetime.
Am I watching a different movie than you, Mandy? There was a movie where a girl gets shot.
Book. No, yeah, you are thinking of a different one. But a good movie in that vein is actually Time After Time, in which H.G. Wells travels to the 1970s, chasing after his friend, who turns out to be Jack the Ripper.
Look, man,
that's a totally different film.
I'm talking about a movie where the guy is in a park and with his wife, and then she gets shot, and then he gets in a time machine.
You're
to try
thinking
to
of a
save
totally different movie, or you're thinking of a totally different adaptation of
it must have been an adaptation of the Time Machine I was watching. Anyway,
that might have been the Guy Pearce one, but I don't remember that. But it's always been about him.
There's one where there's a girl, and she. His fiance, he proposes to her, and then they get robbed, and then the guy shoots them and takes her ring, and then like he tries to go back in time and fix that, but it doesn't work, and then he ends up like going into the future instead. So and then it turns into like a shitty action movie. But that part of that movie anyway,
that might have been the Guy Pearce one, because I remember that one becoming.
But that part of that movie also reminded me of him safe scumming and trying to fix the day that went horribly wrong.
You mean to tell me that you've never read H.G. Wells' The Time Machine?
Nope.
Wow, you have homework this week.
No, I have a lot to do. I'm in school and I study too much already. This is already taking up way too much of my time. Maybe in the summer. So that kind of reminded me of that as well. The safe scumming aspect of that. He keeps he does it a couple of times. Like keeps trying to go back and try different ways and take her different places. Oh yeah, that was it. And he takes her somewhere else and she still dies. It was kind of like Final Destination too in a way. Like he takes her somewhere else and then she gets run over by a fucking horse and carriage instead. Like he could not save her no matter what he did with her that day. It's like she was destined to die.
I have no idea which movie you were talking about now.
Look, you're going to have to look this up after this. Anyway.
You're going to have to look this up after this.
On your Wikipedia there. Anyway, so there was that. Next note. The first opening music is not used again. Oh yeah, it's from the shitty first opening that was added in later. You hear a sound effect that goes, a music score that goes...
Do-do-do-do-do-do. It does serve a purpose, though, to set the tone of the film. It makes it feel more like a comedy because it's very jaunty. It's very playful.
But it is never again heard in the movie.
It's the type of music you would hear if this was a stage play, and this is what they'd be playing beforehand as the lights are going off and as everything is being set up as the audience is calming down. This is what they'd be playing.
Angelic blue screen Rita. When we see Rita playing in front of the blue screen with her blue jacket on, we see her head and hands floating in the air.
Above the earth, if you will.
Yeah, so I thought maybe that was also another indicator that she's an angel.
So he's really gone whole hog into this thing. So,
that's my one theory in this
Start
movie.
seeing if I have, like, as you're going through your notes, just ask me what I think it means if it's, like, really obtuse what you had written there.
Rita...
Or obscure.
When they get to the van, and when they finally get to the real beginning, and they're in the van, and Larry and Phil are in the front, Rita's sitting in the back, she has to lean forward to talk to them.
Really far.
Like, it looks like there's about maybe 3 to 4 feet in between her chair and...
She's almost crouching just to go to them. So she's not wearing a seatbelt.
Really lean forward. Yeah, no seatbelt either.
Yep.
Very unsafe, but back in '93, maybe they didn't care too much.
Maybe, because that chair has to rotate in order for them
that
to
was
work
like
for the computer
just sort of
screens.
the era where they were starting to crack down on seatbelts, maybe like a year or two after that.
Kind of like the electric sockets.
Yep, which also, as we know, should not have been in there, except that it was a really old house.
But a very, very, very fine house.
Our house in the middle of our street. Our house. Bill Murray's skin tone and
his pallor, yes, it's not very consistent throughout the film. You don't he has colors sometimes, other times
scars.
He is as gray as the grave.
Yeah, his scars. It should have said. I don't know where my pen went.
Whatever. I took it away from you so you wouldn't play with it.
Yeah, well, anyway, so I wrote score. Anyway, his skin tone and scars, it changes a lot, so we think maybe that has something to do with the makeup they put on him. Because sometimes he looks downright hideous.
Because we never noticed this before when we were watching it in standard definition, but now that it's in glorious high def on Blu-ray...
Sometimes he looks hideous and sometimes he looks presentable, and we don't know why.
He always looks hideous,
sometimes
Bobby.
The scars are like deep, and then sometimes they're just shallow and you can barely see them.
They just put pancake mix batter on his face, pancake mix, and goes, here.
Fill those holes. There's a weird cut in Ned's scene.
Yeah, this time we started noticing these little cuts throughout that are really weird.
Do you remember exactly what it was?
Yeah, I don't remember what he was saying, but he's talking directly to Phil. And in
like
the middle of the conversation,
view,
they cut, and then the mouth, it doesn't sync up properly.
It doesn't sync up?
Like, if they had cut it maybe a second before he was starting to open his mouth to say his line, it doesn't sync properly. And then it was off-putting.
And it cuts to the front of his face, and he's like,
the problem with that is that most people would not notice that. And would not care, but after 14 views...
It bothered
me. We had a couple of them that popped out. The other thing that you haven't brought up yet has been all the music, and like how everything sets a tone up until about the midpoint.
Maybe that's what I was saying.
Because we were talking about the comedy music, and then it changes to... the weatherman, that's basically telling the whole story of the movie.
Oh, I got it right here at the bottom of this page.
Oh, okay. And then you get to his first day. Well, okay, we'll get back to that, because, you're going to go to his
under
first
deja vu music.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go to that in a minute.
Ned said some things that I took, that I kind of felt maybe had some effect on the plot.
You're looking at foreshadowing, right? And you're looking to see
foreshadowing things Ned said, like, is this supposed to be something?
And you're also trying to figure out, to tie it back into him, Ned is the devil theory. And
no, we're trying to tie it back into what I just said about Phil becoming a better person. Ned says, take opportunities.
Be like the bull.
It's all a crapshoot. Premium life. So when he's trying to sell Phil insurance, he's like, yeah, you just gotta be like a bull and charge at it and take those opportunities. And then he's saying something like, oh, some people down at the office, they're all about those books, but I think it's all a crapshoot. And he's just like, you know what you really need? You need to get a premium life insurance. So I was like, is he telling Phil to take opportunities, that life is all a crapshoot and he has to live the premium life?
That he has to take chances.
Make mistakes and get messy.
Because life is messed up.
He should have listened to Miss Frizzle all along.
And that's the only way that he'll get his best life, his premium life.
100% playthrough.
And that he has to watch for that first step, because it's a doozy.
The first step being the day he fucked everything up?
He has to be...
The first day he repeated it? I don't know.
Yeah, the very first day... No, the day that his very first mistake that he made. And that he has to keep trying to grasp that.
This time I finally figured out that when Phil says, at the first day still, Rita says, "What kept you?" And Phil says, "Oh, I was held up by a giant leech or something like that." I was always trying to figure out what the hell he was talking about, and then I finally realized that he's talking about Ned.
Yeah, I don't know how you didn't think that.
Because in my mind, as a Dungeons & Dragons player, I was imagining he was making some sort of reference to an actual giant leech.
Really?
Yes!
Really?
Yes! I thought he was making a joke like, "Haha, a giant leech got me." Like, you know how you would say, like, "Ah, a dragon, I was delayed by a dragon," or something like that, you know?
When would you say that you were delayed by a dragon in everyday conversation?
I thought that Phil is a gamer. Old school gamer. He was making a super obscure D&D reference to Rita that she just didn't get.
Let me talk to you about writing for your audience.
Harold Ramis put that in there.
He's like, you didn't put that in there for it to be about D&D. It's just like...
There's those 5 people who know that the D&D... There was a monster in D&D that was a giant leech. Bill's yellow teeth. Yeah, his teeth are also pretty gross.
That just goes back to his hideousness. Yeah. But we bring that up like every other week.
I noticed that separately. There's a lot of his face in this movie. Larry always looks like he has more to say when the scene cuts away.
Maybe it just wasn't that funny, and they said, you know what, let's...
Yeah, like, it looks like they filmed more of, like, a couple times, like, when Larry says, he called himself a talent, and it was, like, prima donna... I don't know if it was prima donnas, but there was another part where he's just talking, and, like, you can kind of see his mouth start to move again, and then the scene cuts away
awkwardly.
So, like, there was clearly more there, but they were like, we don't need that.
They mute what he's about to say, and they cut away.
Yep, they cut him right... They cut his mic, even.
What are you, Snagglepuss, by going even? They cut his mic even.
Stage right, exit, stage right even. Phil's POV. Oh yeah, this is something that Randy was obsessed with in this movie, was Phil's POV. The whole movie is told through Phil's POV. The only time he breaks
you're not doing the impression properly.
The entire movie, this entire movie is told from Phil's POV. However, it is broken only twice. The first time in the morgue scene when we see his corpse from the perspective of Rita and Larry, and the second time in the final party when he's playing the piano, and it is shown from the perspective of Rita, which continues until the following morning when they wake up.
The point of view only switches after they kiss underneath the moonlight, and then it goes back to his point of view, and it's over.
Hallway guy, closer angle. On the second day when he runs into hallway guy, it has a really close angle on them and some scary music.
Yeah, so this is where I was trying to go to earlier about the music, which we'll have to touch upon really quickly here. So the movie starts off with that jaunty, like, okay, this is a comedy, we're cueing you in. So at this point in the movie, this first day, Phil is noticing something's off about the day, and all the music that plays is all discordant, and it's like really like disorienting and disconcerting.
I could remember what it sounds like now, but it's like,
and when he meets Guy in the staircase, it's a close shot, and it's very aggressive, and it's like, it's kind of scary, and that music continues throughout that part.
Yeah, because I wrote that down, deja vu music. Throughout that day, it plays. I think on day 2 and maybe into day 3, it plays the deja vu music.
It plays different type of music for each time. The next day, it plays anxious music as he, as he's nervous, is like, what's going on here? I don't know what's going on, and he's running it through it. And then on the final day, he starts playing defiant music. Because he's still like, no, I'm not going to live by their rules anymore. And the music starts changing.
That's when it turns into the remix of the Weatherman.
It's not a remix. Music. It's not there. It's just jazz. All they're doing is playing jazz. It's not there.
It's the fucking same song.
It's not there.
Randy's got no ear for music.
It's not
there. You can't hear when one of them is played on a piano and the other one is played on a fucking saxophone or something. That you can't tell it's the same tune.
It's not the same tune. They sound nothing alike.
Mrs. Lancaster ignores what Phil says.
She is just stuck in the loop because she's... Actually, I don't know what I was going to say about that. Never mind.
We also, I don't know if I wrote this down, but we touched upon the fact that, like, is there other people who are stuck in the loop? Or have there been other people stuck in the loop?
We've touched upon that before. We believe it's the bartender, but
we
were also making a joke about every year on Groundhog Day, one person is stuck in purgatory until they learn their lesson about living a good life.
I thought it would have been pretty cool if we saw, like, some notes that were left by the previous people.
Maybe wait for Groundhog Day too.
Like
Groundhog
it's like
harder.
if you're reading this, you're stuck in the time loop. Like they wrote it like very very obscure place that only somebody who scoured every inch of that town on their 100% playthrough.
No
would
spoilers
know.
for your re-roll of this film.
Oh shit. Ned. Oh, another Ned line. You could always use a little more. Watch out for that first step. Okay, we talked about that.
Anxious music you brought up there.
Yep. Rita's angry lip lick. We already, which I bring up every week. Which is when he's on the second or third day when he gives his speech.
It's after the anxious music where it's like, I've already done this before. I don't have to do this again.
Oh, yeah, she's like,
I'll meet you at the thing.
She licks the side of her lip she has an angry look on her face.
So
we figured. I guess we're not going to get through it, but I'll
finish off with your thought.
I'll finish one more here. Which was that Rita. We figured on the day when Phil says, I think it was the third day when he says, "I've already done this twice before." She's like, "Phil, are you gonna do the broadcast?" I'm not. I've already done this. She's like, "Oh, she says we have work to do." And he says, "I've already done this twice," and he walks away. And she's like, "Phil, Phil," and then Larry says, "Prima donnas."
And then Bobby goes, "Why is she so angry?" And it's like, well, obviously because he walked away. But the question comes up: who did the broadcast?
Yeah, who did the broadcast that day? Did they not do it, or did Rita have to do it?
I'm thinking Rita had to do it.
So we think the reason why she was so pissed off in the diner scene later that day, when he starts telling her like, I've been reliving the same day over and over now for the third time. She was pissed off because she just had to do his broadcast.
Not just it's like I could see her being as angry the other way, but I see her more angry because she's not the on-screen personality. She's not supposed to be there.
Yep.
So with that,
I still have 2.5 more pages, but it'll have to wait till next time.
Yep. And
here's what you have to look forward to. Gus unbuttons his shirt.
Yes, that big thing. You just want to go into it now because you mentioned what it was.
I'll go into it very quickly. When we see Gus that day, actually when he turns around and says like, "Phil, like Groundhog Phil," his shirt is all the way almost buttoned up except for the top one. But when he runs into Phil at the bar later that night, his shirt is totally unbuttoned, and we can see his Punxsutawney Phil t-shirt underneath.
He's a big fan of Punxsutawney Phil.
So does he just like undo his buttons when he drinks?
Yeah, it's the day. It's like he's still being professional and he's getting ready for work.
He had to work on Groundhog Day?
Groundhog's Day is not a national holiday.
Holy shit, man.
Maybe in that town, maybe, because he was eating breakfast at like 9 in the morning.
Except for do we see anybody work? The waitresses. Yeah, the doctor works, the psychologist works. Okay, story checks. Police officers work.
Oh yeah, they kind of have to.
Well, yeah, they have to. But I mean, how many non-emergency people work? The diner, the movie theater.
Yeah, movie theater's open.
The movie theater's open. And
everything's open.
The hotel workers.
Everything is open.
But we don't know what Gus and Ralph's job is.
No, we don't. So once again, farewell, everybody. I'm Bobby, his Randy.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm repeating the joke from last week, and have a good week.
Bye.